All right, folks, today we're going to do the rear diff fluid on a 2004 Lincoln Town Car. It's an ultimate. Woo, it's an ultimate. But it means it just has a lot of doodads and gadgets on it. It's a very clean car. It's up on the lift, obviously. It's on a lift because you can do this on the ground, but then you have to make sure that the vehicle's perfectly level, because when you're doing fluid in a transmission or a differential, you want the vehicle level. It sort of should be intuitive that you can't have the vehicle at an angle, because then it won't be level. But some people who are new, like me, don't seem to understand that. I've figured it out. But this is a gorgeous car. I mean, it is in immaculate condition. It drives great. Everything's been done. Brakes have been bled. Transmission fluid has been done. Had new spark plugs put in. It's got the 4.6 modular V8. The wheels are pretty good. There's a little bit of corrosion, which you'd expect on a car that's vintage. Brakes probably could stand to be done. They're getting a little bit of a lip, but nah, the car runs great. The pads are good. So today's focus is doing the differential. So how do I do it? Well, I get all my stuff ready. You know, this uses RTV, or room temperature vulcanation, which just means that this stuff creates a gasket at room temperature. I didn't know that until recently. I just got the 90-minute stuff. There's apparently an anaerobic gasket maker, which means you can apply it to the cover, slap it on. It doesn't need air. This stuff, apparently, you apply a 1/8 inch bead. 1/16 to 1/4 inch bead, 2 to 6 millimeters bead of silicone to one surface, surrounding all the bolt holes. And then you're supposed to immediately put the cover on, tighten it down, hand tight with all the bolts, let it sit for an hour, and then torque it down. It gives it a chance to spread out and cure. We've got some scrapers to clean the cover. Try not to use metal. I've been told it's bad. I'm going to use plastic. I'm going to use this sort of Scotch-Brite pad. I've got a way to fill the fluid with a pump. This vehicle takes 7590 GL5. It is not a limited slip. It's a Ford thing. I don't fully understand it. Got some brake clean. Got some tape to seal the fill plug if need be. Torque wrench, tools, 1/8 inch drive, all that stuff. Gloves to protect my hands. Gloves when I don't need liquid protection. And last but not least, safety glasses. And a lot of people don't. And a wire brush to clean up any surface that needs it. That is not, I repeat, is not a sealing surface. So, collection is going to be my cool new oil collector. I have my Pyrex in here because I always love to look at the fluid, especially after 40,000 miles. This will be, I'm sure, its first drain. And we are looking at the rear diff now. I'm going to grab the pointer, and we're going to point to the wonderful fill plug, which is delightfully located back here. See that? That's the fill plug right there. And it comes off with an 3/8 inch drive. Now, I've already cleaned it. It had a lot of schmutz on the magnet that's on the fill plug. When these things operate, the fluid gets splashed up, obviously, but some people don't know that. And as it gets splashed up, it goes past the plug, and any metallic bits, whatever they are, get caught by the magnet. Now, like I said earlier, I always check the fluid level before I drain it. I want to see how's it been running. So the classic technique is finger in, dip a little bit, and the fluid comes out. It looks pretty darn good to me, but what do I know? Yeah, probably doesn't need to be done, but I'm here, you're here, we're all here. There's no beer, so we'll drain it. This stuff looks pretty pliable. But there's no such thing as over-servicing. If you want something to last, you service it. If you don't want it to last, you cheap out and you don't service the vehicle. Because that way you're guaranteed to have old, crummy fluid in a vehicle. And like I always tell people, including my wonderful son, who seems to be adverse to changing fluids more often than necessary, is if you replace the rear end, this 8.8 rear end, which isn't an expensive rear end, they're very strong. You know what you get when you replace the rear end on these vehicles? You get new fluid. So my attitude is spend 15, 20 bucks, get some new fluid, and change it, and then you never have to do a new rear end. You're ahead. Less money, less hassle, everything else. So I'm gonna start the process, and there'll be a little more video later. Bye. All right, now the big reveal. What I've done is I removed all the lower bolts. I have one bolt, which is a little hard to see, sitting up there. The idea is it will hold on to this cover. So once I crack it loose, the differential fluid is going to come streaming out. I've never done this before. I've been told it's messy. Be prepared for a mess. I'm doing this with a phone in one hand and a pry bar screwdriver in the other. Things may get weirder than normal. So we'll bring the pan into place. Try to get it loose. Isn't like you can do 2 takes on this thing. It's slowly coming away. Ooh, I better back up. I can hear, oops. I can hear the beast making noise. Yes, I can hear the RTV slowly coming detached from the differential housing, the rear diff. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, I think I see a little liquid coming through that one bolt hole. Yes, there it is right there. Yes, it's coming out. Oh God, it's gonna be messy. All right, there we go. It looks green. We're just gonna let it do its thing. Oh yeah, it's messy. So I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna see if I can collect some of this in the Pyrex. Oh, I've collected a little. I'll center it a little more. Guess I gotta get a little more action going. I'll be back. All right, folks, we got the rear diff cover off. It was a little harder than expected. I learned something on this Lincoln Town Car. You have to loosen these 2 screws here. You see how this emergency brake cable here screws in to here? Well, you can't get this bracket, which is up here, up and away from the cover without releasing it. It was no big deal. It was a 13 millimeter nut, screw, whatever, bolt. So it came off. And now I'm gonna try a little experiment. You guys are lucky that you get to be here for that. As you know, I have this great suction tool. And one thing you always see in rear diff oil changes is people cleaning out this little dimpled area at the bottom of the diff. It almost seems to be fun for them. Me, I'm not so sure it's fun. But the little depression is right here. And so there's a lot of differential oil sitting in this little spot. So I'm gonna put the camera down for a second. I'm gonna start the suction and see if we get it going. Oh, and that's the sound of success. You see it starting to come out. I've got the end of the tube, at least I did, in this pit, and it's sucking the fluid out. A lot of people take their fingers and scoop it out. I would never deny them that much fun. So I'm gonna walk away from this for a second and show you something else. So these are the bolts that held the pan in, or the diff cover. It looks pretty clean to me, nothing impressive. Now this is the fluid that came out of the diff. And you can tell it's pretty dirty. It's greeny, it's old, so it's never been changed as far as I can tell. When I first stuck my finger in the fill hole, the thing I was seeing was the fluid, the debris had floated down, and what I was getting was the sort of the clear supernatant. I think that's the phrase you use. Now what I plan on doing is I'll obviously clean these up, wire brush them a little bit, get them all clean this out, finish cleaning out the rear diff from all of its fluid. The idea is to give the car a chance to have clean fluid. And then I'll start cleaning the surface here gently. This is the surface you do not want to mar. It's machined, you don't want to mar it. Use plastic, be gentle, don't get crazy with metal tools and scrape it, and then things just get worse. Yeah, the gasket, the RTV gasket sealer will seal a lot of defects, but you really don't want to have that issue where you have to seal a mistake. You can see where it sort of comes off pretty easy. You want it nice and clean. So I'll be back. All right, I'm back. It's been an hour. According to these great instructions for the Permetex gasket maker, it's the 90-minute gasket maker, you have to wait an hour. The idea is that you hand tighten the bolts on the rear diff cover to the point where the goop, the liquid, the gasket, the RTV squishes around. And you can see where it's come out here, etc. And on some of these bolts, it's come out a little bit. Now, of course, like everything I was thinking about it, I thought, well, do you wait 60 minutes? Well, it gives it a chance to spread out, do some curing. You wait 90 minutes and then you torque it. Like in this case, it's 22 to 25 foot-pounds, and I've got the torque wrench all set up, as you can see. And that treats it like a gasket. Well, it is a gasket. It's a gasket maker. I'm used to gaskets, O-rings, that kind of stuff, so this is new experience for me. I've never done, as I said before, a diff cover like this where you have to take it off. And I was a little intimidated. I don't know why, but I was. Now, a friend came over and said, well, why the hell do you do this stuff? And I thought, well, that's a good question. It's not a financial thing. It's the adventure. It's the journey. It's the ability to figure something out I've never done before, do it, and be successful. And that's what it's all about with me. It's about the journey, the adventure, doing stuff that I'm unfamiliar with. And although it doesn't seem like much of a challenge to many people, especially mechanics, people who do it for a living, it is for me because I've never done it before. And I'll say again, I consider good mechanics to be like good doctors, good physicians, good caregivers. They're dealing with a system of components and parts like heart, liver, lung, kidneys, brain, and they all interact and they all produce this thing called a ride. Now, when something goes wrong with a human being, you have to take a history and do a physical. When something goes wrong with a car, a good mechanic takes a history, finds out what the problem is, does a physical, takes a look at the car, and then based upon their knowledge and expertise, comes up with a differential diagnosis. Now, no joke, I'm not trying to be a punny because this is a differential, but it reminds me of what I learned in medical school and all my training and practicing. Cars are complex systems. Human beings are complex systems. When something goes wrong in either one, you've got to figure out how to solve the problem. They're not black and white answers. Each car, each human being has unique characteristics and personalities. They all do, even though they all sort of look the same. I mean, people, we all have heart, lungs, kidney, brain, fingers, toes, and all that good stuff. So I find it fascinating. It's always fun to challenge myself. Now, I'm not the kind of guy, I don't like skydiving, I'm afraid of heights. So I'm not gonna challenge myself in that sense. I don't like zip lines because I don't like heights. But working on a car, it's a great challenge. And hopefully, hopefully everything turns out right. And I'm sure it will. I've watched people do these diff fluid changes. It doesn't look that hard, but good people make things look easy. And in this case, I watch a lot of good people do this stuff. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having fun. It's, what is it? It's 75 degrees today. And it is gorgeous. It is simply gorgeous. The wind's coming out of the north. It's cool, it's dry, the sun's out. God, it doesn't get any better. Oh, by the way, the landscaping will be done at the end of this month. They're gonna start with the patio, do all the landscaping, which will be exciting. I was silly enough to ask the landscape architect, Dave. I said, I assume the no-mow lawn is gonna come from the street. And he said, oh yeah. I had a friend say, well, are they gonna do all the way to the street? And Dave said, yeah, not a problem. So have a great day, have good fun. I'm going over to a birthday party this afternoon with pizza. Somebody says food to me, I'm there. I don't care what the reason is. I also like the people that I'm going to the birthday party with, of course. I'm just being silly. So enjoy yourselves, have fun, and I will talk to you later. Bye.